What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Hey, getting our radio program started here momentarily. Video stream going up, a live streaming going up across the board. So welcome aboard, everybody that's jumping on there. We got a big show lined up. Yeah, I know. It is Super Bowl weekend, right? I don't know how many of you are actually watching the Super Bowl. I will be. It is like the one game of the year that I and I don't pay attention for the game itself. I don't really care. But, we got to mock the commercials a little bit.
2 minutes. Broadcast.
We have a pregame that apparently is going to be done by Green Day. Yeah, then you got the halftime show done by Bad Bunny. What are they doing with this stuff? I mean, I guess they at least kind of sort of went rock with Green Day, and I say that very open-endedly. Very loosey-goosey. Yeah, what's up, guys? Everybody jumping on. Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about it on the air when we come up here momentarily. All right, we have that. We have plenty to get to today. Big announcement from the Department of Justice. Another arrest of one of the FBI's most wanted. That's 6 of the top 10 most wanted in a year, which begs the question, what the hell have we been doing all these years to not arrest individuals? So we have that coming up. Also, Michael Menard on the program right out of the gate with his latest book, Greater Than Gravity. We're going to talk about mental health issues, childhood trauma, public health, and so much more. Bottom of the hour, Stacy Scankey will be on the program with the Goldwater Institute to talk about higher education and DEI policy.
1 minute till broadcast.
Yeah, it's a loaded show, man, so we got plenty to get to. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment. Break the algorithm all over the social medias. Say hi to us, subscribe to us. If you're we're back on YouTube after all the being allowed to go live on YouTube for the longest time. Thanks, COVID. And we're back live there. Plus, we are broadcasting live with our friends down in San Antonio on 930 The Answer TV. That's streaming live on their YouTube channel.
30 seconds.
And Freedom 210 live down there. So, yeah. All right, man. Let's have some fun. Hang tight. Here we go.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. Hey, it is a Friday. You finally made it to the end of the week. Pat yourself on the back. You scream ice cream. We all scream for ice cream, although it is not National Ice Cream Day. That would be the day Joe Biden officially dropped out of the race in 2024. Yeah, and we're hanging on to that one as long as we possibly can. What a wild day today, man. We wrap up another week of absolute insanity. The Dow Jones officially breaking 50,000 points today. That's wild, man. That's crazy. And that is the tip of the iceberg when Donald Trump says the quote-unquote golden age of America is right around the corner. Is that true? Will it really happen? We'll get to some of that a little bit later on the program. First and foremost, welcome into it. It is the Voice of Reason. My name's Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates doing the thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the program. We have a loaded show for you today. A lot of news out of Washington, D.C. The Trump RX announcement from the Trump administration happening yesterday, so we'll try and cover some of that. I know we have the Super Bowl this weekend. Are you watching the Super Bowl? Here's the thing. I have not seen a single NFL game all year long. I will watch, however, the Super Bowl because, well, we got to see what's going on. Not necessarily for the game. I don't really have any emotional attachment to one game or the other. I live in Kansas, which means the Kansas City Chiefs are not in the Super Bowl this year. So, I'm just, whatever. But I have grown up as a Patriots fan even before Tom Brady. I was a Drew Bledsoe guy back in the day. But it's kind of interesting to see them back and the rivalry between them and Seattle, one coast to the other. What could that look like? I'm more interested in, obviously, the politics of it, the pregame show with Green Day. Yeah, sorry. That was me. My bad. Then we had the halftime show with Bad Bunny. We have the commercials. So we'll break all that down. And, of course, the Turning Point USA alternative show that will be coming up throughout the halftime as well. So we will watch all of that this weekend, have a recap, and get your thoughts on some of that on Monday. But that being said, as usual, welcome into the show. Bottom of the hour, Stacy Scankey will be on the show. She's an attorney with the Goldwater Institute. We'll have her on at the bottom in just a little bit to talk about higher education and the battle against DEI that doesn't seem to go away. So we'll have that conversation in just a little bit, but we have a guest right out of the gate today as well as we go to our...
Let's go to the Hooser Media Hotline.
And I have been looking forward to this conversation because, as you know, it's more than just politics on this program. It's more about cultural issues. And one of the major cultural issues that I think is not getting enough attention is mental health awareness, trying to deal with anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies, so on and so forth, and the younger generation especially. I've read the stat multiple times on this show. It's heartbreaking because my daughter's at the age of what they surveyed right now, but the average 5th and 6th graders in the nation had the same level of anxiety today as what someone that was in a psychiatric hospital had back in the 1950s. As an adult, young children having this type of trauma, what the heck's going on in the world? And I think we need to focus some time on that, and really happy to have on the program today. He is the author of the latest book, Greater Than Gravity, How Childhood Trauma is Pulling Down Humanity. Really happy to have on here Mr. Michael Menard. Mike, how are you, my friend?
I'm well. Happy to be with you, Andy.
Yeah, happy to have you on the program, and happy Friday to you. First off, thank you for addressing and talking about this issue and focusing on it. It's something that I don't think gets enough attention, but it is probably one of the biggest crises or pandemics or epidemics in this nation right now, isn't it?
It is the number one public health threat, and I can back that up with all kinds of data. But so it's real, and it's just sneaking under our noses.
Yeah. Let's talk about the young generation right now and what kind of mental health issues are being presented. And I obviously there's the political front of, individuals that don't feel comfortable in their skin and transitions and so on and so forth. But it goes much more beyond that with not feeling comfortable of who they are as a human being, having depression, having isolation, and we could talk about social media being linked into that as well, but talk about some of the mental health issues that we are battling in society today right now.
Yeah, well, the broadest is depression, with 44% of all adult Americans suffering depression, and we see that the trend is getting worse. So, I have the data that shows in 1998, 64% of American adults had some childhood experiences that translated into either mental illness or metabolic disease. A year ago, I did research, and that number is up to 70%, 70.
Golly.
Just last week, I read a new peer report that's as sad as it gets, and it says that 76% of all high school seniors had experienced some form of neglect or abuse that's leading to the greatest suicidality in our history.
Wow.
Doesn't mean it does mean that it's the number one cause of suicide, but it also means that it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And about 85% of all seniors who are thinking about it, it traces back to whether it's intentional or unintentional harm or abuse or family dysfunction. And as a society, Andy, we're just getting worse.
Yeah. That's really scary, and it's really sad to think about. Let's talk about the neglect and abuse for a moment. In neglect particularly, why are we neglecting our children? And what's the level of being considered negligent or non-negligent in today's times? Because I know sometimes we go a little bit overboard, and if we're not coddling completely or having helicopter parent mindset, then, some people be like, I'm not getting attention from you 100%. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about, legitimate neglect where they're not getting any attention. How did we get to a point like that? I would think that if you have a child, you would want to spend some time with them.
Well, we're de-evolving as a society. If you think about the last 5 million years, we were extremely attentive parents. We carried our children on our backs and on our stomachs, and the community embraced them. We are built for nurturing. In the first 60 days of life, 90% of the circuitry of the brain is being formed as the foundation. And we need, as humans, we need attachment. Actually, not just as childhood, we need lifelong attachment. But we need to know, as an infant, as a young child, that we are safe, that someone loves us, that we are worthy, and that we don't have to be in the panic mode. We can be in the growth and love mode.
Sure.
So when a parent is too busy to attend to the child, there's a difference between neglect and disappointment. Neglect is something that happens that a child cannot overcome without the care of an adult or a therapist.
Sure.
So sideways comments, put downs, not being there creates this panic, subconscious panic in the child, which keeps them in the alert mode, which increases the cortisol flow, which damages their mitochondria and changes their brain chemistry, so that this emerges in adulthood as something just isn't right.
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, a need, hypervigilance. So something as simple as, not giving the child the attention that they deserve. And why are we not, Andy? It's because we're too busy. We're all too both parents work. And when they do come home, they're so exhausted, they cannot attend to the child. So that is constant neglect, and the child feels it. It's automatic. It even happens before memory kicks in.
Sure.
So we as parents, the way to stop this is obviously learn how to parent, learn how to love, which just seems ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But we are missing it. And 180 million adults are walking around suffering from that, and 50 million children, 50 million of our 80 million children are experiencing it daily, trauma or abuse.
Wow.
Daily.
It's really
a crisis.
It is. It's a crisis, and it's really eye-opening for the numbers. And I always love watching trends generationally, and it seems like you hit it right on, and I'm glad you mentioned it, was we're too busy and we work way too much, which is leading to this negligence, because we go from generation to generation and go back to like the generation that was through World War II. They were the ones that were maybe a bit abusive. They had a lot of PTSD. They didn't process anything that they'd gone through, so therefore they just kind of bottled it up and became very angry at the end, which was unfortunate. Then we had the ones that went through the 50s and 60s time, which was the kids of that World War II generation, where we hear, again, this is kind of generalization, but we hear about, the alcohol abuse and how the dad came home and, was okay to kind of smack him around a little bit because of the use of alcohol. And again, not being able to process emotions. Then we had my parents. I'm a millennial, so my parents' generation, the 70s and 80s kids that just wanted to have fun. They went away with it. They just wanted to work enough to be able to have fun and live a good life. That led to my generation that's so focused on work and so focused on technology and so focused on their screen time that they wanted to break the generational curse, but it seems like they haven't done enough to focus on lack of themselves and focus more on their actual kids. It seems like a generational problem here.
It is, it's classic generational trauma. That's the machine that creates this trauma. And until someone stands up in their family, which I did when I decided to have children, and I said it stops with me. I'm one of 14 children, and Andy, 2 of my siblings died from heroin addiction, and I used to think it was bad judgment. It wasn't. It was self-medication.
Yeah.
It was self-medication for what they went through what we went through. And if someone doesn't stand up, and if we don't stand up as a society and say this has to stop, that we need the awareness, we need the healing interventions, which aren't difficult, and we need the prevention to turn the tide. Childhood trauma is the number one killer in the United States today, with 1,500 people dying per day. It is the number one cause of addiction, number one cause of suicide, and the number one cause of incarceration.
Sure.
It's all the ills that we face in society. It has genesis in our childhood.
Sure. It makes a lot of sense. It really does. We're talking with Michael Menard, author of the book Greater Than Gravity, How Childhood Trauma is Pulling Down Humanity. You can see all his work at his website at michaeljmenard.com, trying to deal with this childhood trauma and these generational issues, how to break that curse and get back to it. Mike, we got just about a minute left here as we wrap things up, but what is your message to young parents, the younger generations coming in, my generation, that's millennials and below us, that are trying to break those generational curses, walk away and do something different, what is your message to them?
The message is understand how important your job is. Understand that if you don't do your job of loving and caring for your child as they are youngsters, you are actually planting seeds of destruction that will erupt in them in adulthood. It's heavy, it's sad, but just stop for a moment, look in the mirror, and decide to be the best parent you can be. Do a little research. Go to my website. There's some hints there on parenting. It's not rocket science. It just requires a shift in your focus and maybe a shift away from materialism onto focusing of raising your children to be whole.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? I know there's
a
lot
that
of
helps, Andy.
Yeah, no, it really does, and I know there's trends right now, the quote unquote trad families that are out there, and the people that there's a refocus on the family unit of someone wanting to stay at home, focus on the kids, and actually someone wanting to be a breadwinner. That traditional value, it may seem controversial in today's political era, but it's necessary for the young generation and for the next ones coming up. Mike, it's a great conversation. We got to do it again soon, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, you bet.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend. Appreciate it very much. We got to do it again, get it back on and talk some more about that. Again, go check it out. Greater Than Gravity is the book. Lots more coming up here for The Voice of Reason on a Friday. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of The Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back into the program. Great to have you today for a Friday, setting that tone for your weekend. So much to cover, so little time to do it. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Great conversation with Michael. We really appreciate him. Got to get him back on again soon. That is a conversation that needs to be had. We need to continue to talk about. You can see the focus of each generation on who they're focused upon. And it continues to be more narcissistic, in my opinion. And there's so many directions that we could have gone there, between the isolationism of social media, not actually mingling in person, physical contact with friends and family, but actually doing it through social media, the instant gratification that we're looking for that's leading to, oh, I don't get a certain amount of clicks, therefore I'm depressed because I'm not, being able to feel that whatever I'm looking for online. I mean, there's so many directions that you need to go there. And then, of course, the generation that's really just focused on themselves. I had pulled this up and I was going to play it earlier in the show, but I think it's kind of relevant to right now. There is a minister, and I say minister very loosely in this conversation. I don't know where this Presbyterian church is, but a female minister that was saying that if Jesus were walking today, that Jesus would be the one walking women to the abortion clinic because, well, that's what makes women happy in a women's rights type of movement.
If Jesus were here today, he would be a clinic escort, distracting women from the hatred of the protesters.
Hold on, yeah, that's being taught by, and again, I very loosely, minister, yeah. Because it's all about the individual. Who cares about the next generation? Who cares about another human being? But it's about yourself, because it's all self-absorbed. Very strange world that we're living in, and that's what we have to start working on. I want to tell you about my friends over at Lean. You know, I've been taking Lean since the beginning of the year. I feel amazing. I just weighed myself. I'm down, I want to say about 5 or 6 pounds in a month, which is awesome, and doing it the right way. Everybody's talking about right now weight loss injections. We just heard about Trump RX, and he was mentioning the GLP-1s yesterday because the results are really dramatic, and they work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. That's what they do. But if you're looking for proper weight loss but not interested in some of the painful weekly injections and maybe a little concerned about some of the intense side effects you could potentially have, you've got to try Lean. Doctors created the weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are really remarkable. They've been working. I feel great. I love it. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it to energy, and curb your appetite and cravings, so that way you're just not as hungry overall. But Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. Doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for the frustrated dieter if you're looking to lose 10 pounds or more. Let's get you started right now with my promo code. Using the promo code REASON, you can get 20% off and your free rush shipping, so that way you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Go to takelean.com. Takelean.com. Enter the promo code REASON, REASON, for your discount. Again, promo code REASON at takelean.com. Do it right now. As we talk about the insanity that's in society, the self-absorbed narcissism, which is really kind of strange, we can look at politicians, we can look at the young generation and what's coming up. This social media that I think is a major concern. There are pieces of legislation, and I give you the optimism, the hope for the day, which I think is really needed. We winning. Yeah, we need some of that. There are many state legislations right now, legislators across the country, in state governments that are looking to ban cell phone use in schools and looking to try and get parents more involved. And I have to give you a round of applause, because for a lot of listeners and a lot of people that have understood what's going on in the public education system lately and what's been said and taught to our young generation, that you've gotten involved in these school boards. You've ran for school board seats in your local communities. You've become teachers. You've become homeschooling. You've pulled your kids out of the classes altogether. And for all of that, I applaud you and I thank you, because I think that's one great step where we can kind of take control of the situation again, and that shows you are engaged and involved in the situation. Because what's going on in our schools is not only leading to the mental health issue of the young generation, but it's also leading to a really radical re-education of common sense, which is what we're going to talk about when we come back around the corner. DEI policy in higher ed. Stay right here for the Voice of Reason.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
If Jesus were here today, he would be a clinic escort, distracting women from the hatred of the protesters.
Wait, what?
Or an abortion doula, holding women's hands and offering support and love as they end their pregnancies. And I expect he would have a stern word for self-righteous legislators who use abortion as a political issue rather than showing compassion for the people seeking abortions.
Okay.
Today, on this Rose Sunday, I wanted to share some of the stories we have collected because these are the sacred stories of women's lives. If Jesus were giving his sermon today, he might also have said, "Blessed are those who end pregnancies, for they will be known for their loving kindness."
Wow, there you go. All right, so that is and I use this term again very loosely, the minister of a Presbyterian church that said that Jesus would walk the women right to the abortion clinic and bless those that end their pregnancies. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not, the most up and up on my Bible, but I'm pretty sure, that's not how that one works. But as we talk about the cultural issues today and what we're focused on, the social issues, the identity politics, and the woman being the most important thing, we just talked about mental health for the young generation. If the young generation's even around, because really it's about, I can do whatever the hell I want to without any repercussions. And that's very strange. It leads us to the conversation we're going to have today with our next guest on the program.
What's trending today?
About what's being taught in culture in general, but also in our higher education. As you know, I stem from and hail from the state of Kansas. Kansas University, KU, the Jayhawks, for those that like that around here, they have a course that is still ongoing where you can get a college credit with this course to learn about angry white men. That is an actual legitimate course in our higher education here, which is really kind of strange. And at some point, people really just don't care about the identity politics. We're just kind of over it. We've kind of gotten to the point where we're just...
oh, my God. Who the hell cares?
Yeah, there is a point to that because it's so frustrating. But yet it's still there. It's lingering even after the Trump administration is trying to get rid of it at a federal level. That's where we go to with our next guest.
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
And really happy to have on the program to talk about some of the legal battles of where we're at with the identity politics issue. An attorney for the Goldwater Institute. Really happy to have on here Stacy Skanke. Stacy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you coming on the show. What a wild world that we live in when we have to boil people down to such a superficial level to talk about identity politics, color of your skin, the gender that you are, the DEI policy. Stacey, I got to admit, I think a lot of people are really kind of done with this type of mindset in society.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen DEI kind of going away, but it's not eradicated. It still pops up in various different forms, and we've been able to focus in on state law reforms to kind of help get rid of, where it stems from, right, in the college classrooms and the universities and the Board of Regents that control them, and trying to stop it there.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. Why are they clinging on to it? Let's start there before we talk about some of the legal battles you guys are in. But what is the big reason that they would cling on to this type of issue so desperately in higher education?
I mean, that's a great question that I often am baffled with. I think one of the things that we see with these DEI courses, obviously, is that they're true believers of this ideology. And so I think, they've done a lot of work, if you want to generalize into the left, has done a lot of work to get DEI to be at every level of, education and infused into various parts of life. And so I don't think it's going to go away quietly.
It's really unfortunate. And we've seen many cases, I'm sure you guys are, been following this, that when we do end DEI, through the Trump administration, through the Department of Education at the federal level, we say you're not allowed to do this anymore. They don't, like you said, they don't get rid of it. They just kind of change the wording of it or change the meaning of it, and then they just keep on doing their thing.
Exactly. And that's actually why it's so important to be focusing in on states, on universities, on, K through 12. Anytime you see these types of things, notify groups like ours at the Goldwater Institute or other allied groups, because it's so hard to be tracking all of this when it comes out with slightly different names, or it kind of goes a little bit more, undercover.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Let's talk about some of the cases you guys have been focused on. I know you sent a letter out to the Attorney General in the state of Idaho about some issues. There's been some other states that have popped up on your radar, but talk about what you guys have been working on.
Yeah, so a big one that we just did is Idaho. So Idaho enacted a law that prohibits universities from compelling students to take DEI courses that are not relevant to their degree program. But the universities, instead of following that, have adopted a different interpretation of that law that allows several DEI-heavy classes to now qualify for exemptions for this class. So they're permitting more DEI classes to sift through or come through the cracks there. And so students are still being forced to take ideologically driven material that has nothing to do with their majors. And so what we've done is we've asked the Idaho Attorney General to enforce the law, who's the proper one to kind of course correct, and he's required to do an investigation here. And so that's exactly what we asked him to do.
Yeah. It's so wild. What kind of courses are out there that are focused on DEI? Now, I get it if you want to be, I don't know, a psychology major, or if you're trying to learn about, the human mind and you take a women's study group. I probably need to take a women's study class, to understand my wife better, kind of thing. But, I don't know that obviously there's not a men's study class because we're pretty simple animals. But at the same time, I get it if you're going into a field to where you want to have that type of intelligence, but just to take it just for the sake of it, I don't understand, number one, why universities make you take any class that's not related to your major in the first place, but specifically these types of classes, on why they'd make you take them. What other type of DEI classes are there that are out there?
Well, so like one of the examples that we have, and we actually in our letter outlined, what we were able to find. And this is from the universities. They published the classes that were listed as exempted. And originally it was about 11 courses, and now it's up to 22. So they're clearly, getting more and more in here. Wow. But the law defines it that the major or the class title itself has to be apparent from the title that it relates to DEI. And that's really only permissible when it's a major that relates to a topic of maybe a DEI topic. So my example would be here, gender studies. If you're taking a major in gender studies, it is possible that you could be taking what I would call a DEI type course, talking about, inequalities in gender. Sure, that makes sense. The student would be very easy to understand that from the title, and in their major, they get that. But what's going on is you have majors like counseling who are required to take, racial and ethnic relations or economic injustice and these various things that really don't relate to that major. Yeah. And not just that they're offered, it's that they're required in order to get that degree. And that's really the crux of the problem. If the student wanted to voluntarily take these courses, that's a different story, but These are being required.
Yeah. It's so weird. Just out of speculation, by the way, Stacey, what exactly can you do with a degree in gender studies? I don't know what you actually can use that for in the real world. I've never understood that.
I don't think I've seen a good job listing
right.
of that. And most of them are, you work with nonprofits advocating that same ideology. So not a great choice, but, the student has the right to choose that. And if they want to, so be it. But do not mandate it for the degrees that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's exactly true. We heard in our state legislature here in the state of Kansas this week this issue on, and I don't know if you guys were aware of, the angry white man class that apparently Kansas University has been teaching for a while, and you can get your college credit on that one. They're trying to remove some of those DEI mandated classes at KU and the other education institutions here in Kansas. The argument against it from the Democrats during some of these public hearings was that by not forcing it onto the college students to actually take, it violates their First Amendment freedom of speech in order to promote these types of ideologies. Stacey, I didn't realize that by not forcing them, like you said, you could still choose to do it with your own option, but not forcing them to do it was a violation of freedom of speech. That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that, but I know at least other types of violations that kind of can pop up and occur in these types of situations. Obviously, if you're being compelled, we've discussed that. But sometimes it's a misuse of taxpayer funds. We have a law restricting certain types of DEI things for public employees, and that's a violation of public funds, of taxpayer dollars being used for these types of materials. So there's different violations that pop up. It kind of depends on what state laws have been enacted and exactly, the contours of that.
Yeah.
I do know that Kansas is considering a model bill that is essentially what Idaho did. It has a few more parts to it. And so they would have a very similar course as how Idaho did it, where you're removing the mandatory DEI courses when they're unrelated to a major.
I love that. Let's talk about that when we come back. We got to take a break here. It's Stacey Skanke. She's the attorney with the Goldwater Institute. You guys have an act that's been picked up and pushed by a lot of different state legislators on the Freedom from Indoctrination Act, which we can implement at a statewide level. I know Candace is working on, like you said, something kind of similar, whether it's that exact bill or not. But let's talk about that when we come back and what we can do outside of the legislative and legal side of this, how we can get back to common sense and get rid of some of this crazy identity politics that we have in society, because it makes my brain hurt just thinking about how stupid and how superficial we become in society. We'll do that when we come back around the corner. We got one segment left. Plus, your predictions on what we have with the Super Bowl this weekend. Is it a big issue for you? Will you be watching one particular halftime show or another? Lots more coming up for The Voice of Reason on a Friday. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
Oh, hey, sorry, I was just enjoying one of my snacks during the break. You know, it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives, but I'm here to tell you that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more. We have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back into it. Truth, reason, common sense, rationale. It's just what we do on this program every day as we get you set for a weekend. We got plenty to cover this weekend as well for our syndicated program, so do not miss that one as we cover the craziness of the week and do a big recap for you. But before we get back to our guest here, I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. As you know, we are moving through the 250th birthday of the nation, and it's kind of awesome, right?
Winning.
Yeah, so we want to continue to spread that patriotism and that understanding of where we're at and how we got to this point in the nation. I want you to go to a website, takeonesmallstep.com. Takeonesmallstep.com. You can see exactly what the real history is of this nation, of average Americans fighting their challenges of their time, and how they were able to make America what it is today, and how we can do the same thing. We can fight for individual sovereignty, personal freedoms, limited government, and we can continue to make America great, and we can do that with our friends over at Americans for Prosperity and their website, takeonesmallstep.com. As we talk about higher education and the DEI policies and the superficial, just dumb, low IQ level, superficial arguments of your skin's different than mine. Like, we don't care. Like, we've said it many times before, I just don't care, you know? We don't care anymore. Yeah, but that continues to be the main focal point for higher education, and it's really unfortunate. There is a push to, if you continue to fund DEI programs, then we're going to hear that you could potentially be losing federal money. Is that true? And what else can we do to fight this battle? We're hanging out with Stacey Skanke. She is an attorney with the Goldwater Institute. Stacey, can we actually see the defunding of higher education or certain institutions by the federal government if they continue on with this, whatever we want to call it, this push for DEI?
I mean, that's definitely what's been threatened. I think there's a lot of reform that's been happening because of those. Even just a threat of removing funding has caused some changes. I know there's been certain either states or schools themselves that have voluntarily made changes. I know Texas A&M has. North Carolina, they changed their universities so that they're conforming and getting rid of DEI courses. So, I mean, it works. It works definitely, and we are seeing some changes.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Talk about your Freedom from Indoctrination Act. I know it's been presented to many different state governments and legislators. They're pushing it at the statewide levels, but what does that entail, and how can we get involved in this?
Yeah, so Kansas right now, they are looking at the Freedom from Indoctrination Act. That's a model bill that is drafted by the Goldwater Institute. And right now they do have what seems to be the entirety of it. And there's basically three main parts. First, you have that they can't require DEI for graduation. And I'll make a note here. They do explain in there defining what DEI is, because as you know, that could mean a gazillion different things, and for different people, it means other things.
Yeah.
So it's actually a quite robust definition explaining, I would summarize to say that you cannot treat someone different because of their race or ethnicity,
Sure.
right? So it goes into that. And then part two, that requires instruction on the Constitution and federalism and American principles, because, as you know, that is very often not required in higher education.
Right.
And then you have the third part, it's restricting mandatory DEI in freshman orientations. And that is a very, very common trend we see in most freshman orientations. They have to take a DEI component. This allows them to offer such a thing, but it must be optional. And they also ask that a free speech and kind of a knowing your rights on free speech is also presented to the freshmen as they enter college.
Sure. How crazy. Last question for you, just speculation here. If these classes and courses are offered as, like you said, voluntary when they come in as freshmen, how many students do you think would actually take them voluntarily and be like, yes, I'd love to learn more about DEI? Is it a cultural thing now where it is popular, or do you think that they would just kind of finally just close it down because it would be so unpopular?
Well, I think honestly that would be a kind of a good social experiment to be able to be watching in real time.
Yeah.
I know, or at least my position would be, that the reason these things are mandated is because students don't want to be doing these things. You're being told, feel terrible for things that you had no involvement with and you can't change. Denounce your whiteness, for example, even though they have no idea how many times you may have denounced it before. You're still white, unfortunately. So I don't think anyone wants that. They don't want to feel terrible about all of these
That
things.
makes sense. That makes sense. We got to make you feel guilty.
Go down.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would think it'd make you feel guilty. Stacey, we're out of time. I love talking about this issue. It's wild that we have to expose this, but thank you for what you guys are doing. Got to get you back on the show again soon, my friend.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate it very much. Go check them out at the Goldwater Institute. We appreciate it. Back at it again on Monday. Until then, we'll see you back on the radio soon. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. When I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.